YouTube. It's Angela. We're going to read this week on the energy of negative self-talk, judgment, um, you know, um, not being very kind to yourself in your own mind. And we open with this card from the Dreamweaver's Oracle, and it's called If the Wild Ones Came with Sticks. Look at that. That's a crazy card. This is your, sort of like in your own mind, you can create you could become your own enemy, like in your own mind with negative self-talk, judgments, self-judgment on yourself and judging of others. That negativity seeps into our energy, even though we don't really realize it. This is calling for us to, all those, I'm not enough, I'm not perfect, it's never going to happen because of whatever reason, whatever quality I don't have, right? Focusing on what isn't there instead of really the beauty and the love and the grace that we all carry within us. This is also kind of, asking with others to give them grace, give people space and grace to make their mistakes, to find their own way, right? If we sit in judgment of others, it's only affecting our own energy. As much as we want to say, oh, I know what's best for them and they're doing it all wrong. That's all your own sort of very negative, very dense. It brings your energy down, is basically what I'm trying to say. So we don't want to get caught in that trap. We want to be able to see things with hope and more clarity and more possibility instead of what isn't there, really. I pulled a couple of tarot cards to go with this, If the Wild Ones Came with Sticks. And I got fighting. These are both mental energies. So it's kind of great that they came out in the very beginning. All those resentments and judgments that are within our own minds. And I got fighting and I got morality. This is that hard stance that there's a right and a wrong. There's black and white. There's good and bad. That's it, right? And if it doesn't reach that good side or the right side or the, then we have a battle. Then it's like, well, it's not turning out the way I wanted it. It's not turning out right. Or, I'm not right for this endeavor. I'm not good enough. I'm not perfect. Those are very constricting. If you see this figure here, the morality card, it's a very closed off energy. There's like, it feels like her hands there are bound. She's behind this grid of steel that's unmoving and unchanging and not allowing her any freedom of movement, and even her eyes are shrouded. So it's like, all I see is if it's good or bad. I don't see any gray area. I don't see any possibility for fluidity from one point of energy to the next. This is very rigid feeling. So, and judgment and resentment and negative self-talk is a very rigid stance to take. And when you're doing that within your own being, toward your own being, you're kind of like your own enemy, then you're, you get bound up more and more in that negative energy. So I'm not saying don't have any negative thoughts, right? And don't question, your ability or whatever, but don't stay there. Don't let it take hold and become the energy from which you operate, right? So find ways to release. It's really taking a step back and creating a space where you can call attention to your physical human being when you start creating these judgments, when you start creating this negative self-talk. It's being able to pull apart from that as your spirit, that part of you that sort of sits behind it all, basically your soul, and being able to allow for the negative thoughts to come and go and not stick around and lodge themselves in your own energy. Then the next thing I pulled is rain, a purification. The first thing I thought of course, was purifying our mind, because that negative judgment, self-talk, that kind of stuff can get pretty cluttered if we're not addressing it, if we're not releasing it. So we're called to work on some mental clarity, some meditative practices. If it is not your thing to sit and meditate and just be still, then find other ways that you can create, that space in your mind for really to take your mind off your own thoughts, whatever that is. Sometimes people like to spend time with their pets or their children and put themselves in that energy of that purity, of that pure instinct that animals and children really carry naturally, right? Instead of, the animals don't sit and think, well, you're not good enough, so I'm not going to come and let you pet me. That doesn't happen, right? It's pure instinct that they're living off of, and pure love. You could also, to clear your mind and clear your mind space, you could engage in some kind of physical activity. If you love running, if you love swimming, get into it. The more you're moving your body, the less you can really get bogged down by your thoughts. Listening to music, finding a way, but also just sitting and meditating, that will help to cleanse the thoughts and purify your mind. Tap into the source of who you are. Tap into that depth of your soul, right? Your heart space. If we find ourselves in a jam or in a predicament, in a negative situation, always the energies that lead from our heart will always help shift that, will always create movement from that stuck place. Gratitude, being able to focus on the love, forgiveness, removing things from your heart so that your heart is more spacious and free to guide you. And it's important, getting in touch with the core of your being, which is pure love, which is who we all are at the core. And then along with the source, I pulled master. So this is being able to tap into your higher self, being able to connect with the divine, with the unseen life force that's always there around us, and being able to allow that to guide us instead of that mind, that chattering mind that keeps us locked in negative spaces sometimes. So that the cleansing of your mind is important. And also with this purification card, it's cleansing your spirit as well, right? We got the source card, and then we got the higher energy, the higher self card. So cleansing, so you have room for these to move and grow and move with you. And then I pulled release, and this says, I move in harmony. This is beautiful, because this is, now that you've, in this reading at least, now that you've found, some space in your mind with your thoughts, created maybe a little clarity, then we get to send away easily. This is like, it's just in the card, it says, change me, divine beloved, into one who easily releases all that's ready to go. That's all it is. Let me move in harmony with your natural rhythm. And, some things aren't ready to go, right? Some things we're still processing. But as we work on this purifying energy and cleansing our mind and cleansing our spirit, the things that arise from that, those are the things that are ready to go. If they're coming up through your clearing meditation or through your clearing practice, they're ready to go. And one of the things I pulled here is politics. This is the mask you wear. This is the falseness, the sort of, false front that we put on in our daily lives sometimes in order to conform or in order to be accepted. Well, this is calling, especially right underneath the release card, it's calling for you to drop that mask and live from your truth, live from the love that is in and being nurtured in your own heart, being able to, the politics card, the mask, has a lot to do with this judgment, resentment, negative energy, right? It's sort of created from these negative thoughts. Then we end up just putting up a false front because we're not seeing what's possible. We're closing off and shielding ourselves from what's possible in order to feel right. I don't know, in order to feel like we're achieving something and we're right in a situation, instead of allowing things to just be as they are without the judgment, without it has to be right. And then along with the release card, I got drop the mask, and then I got go with the flow. So this is tapping more into your emotions and to the way you feel you want to move down your path instead of the way you think, right? Instead of with this fighting energy in the very beginning under the judgment card, we've released into flow. This energy holds you in place, and this energy creates movement. And that all came after the release and the dropping of the mask. So now that we've released our energy and we're kind of like floating around and we've created space within our being, right? Now what? Well, get grounded. Get grounded in your new energy, right? In your lighter load. You've released some burdens. You've created a more truthful way of looking at things. You've, like we said, create space and grace for yourself and for others. And now that you've achieved that with that space, you get grounded in it. You ground yourself in that new, flowing, open-hearted energy. With that, I pulled existence. And this is kind of that feeling that, we're all star seeds, we're all here on this planet in our own space. And really what it is it's an inner being card that sort of wherever you are, you're home. Your existence alone is worthy enough of your attention and your positive outlook, and so is that of everyone else around you, right? We're all here, we're all where we belong, and we're learning the lessons, receiving the gifts that we need to, even in conflict, right? Even with the awareness of judgmental thoughts, we have the power to release those. We have the power to shift them and become more comfortable in what's left from that, right? Once we do the releasing and get grounded, now you get comfortable in this newfound space. I'm talking energetically, of course, that you've created, which leads to more transformation. This one I love, because we can try to assert ourselves to transform. Here's what I want to do. I want to change that. And yeah, that works a lot. That works for a lot of us. But sometimes the energy, it's deeper, and it's something that is hidden from view, and not everyone knows what goes on in your inner being. But if you start to feel, after, cleansing your mind of those negative thoughts and being able to release them and let them go and start to move more in your own inner flow, that's where the transformation begins. It begins within you. We can create change on the surface and in the external world and prove that we can shift things and change things. But starting from your inner being is key, because then that energy that's transforming and the new way that you're able to lead yourselves, that's what you're grounding in. You're grounding in that newer energy, and using that to move forward will bring about different results, right? It'll bring about probably more fulfilling results if you're moving in the pace, moving in that flow, moving in the pace of your own being. with, according to what's available to you, what conversations you can have with others, and always remembering about those sticks that they bring, those negative, denser energies that are with us, letting those release and grounding in what's left, right? Which is all heart energy. And then the last card I got for this spread is childhood. And this is now, that we've grounded in this newer energy, in this more positive energy. Now we can see things. We can open our eyes and kind of see things differently, judgment free, resentment free, and no more negative self-talk. The innocence of childhood, if you can tap into your inner child, no matter how your physical childhood went, there's still that inner being within you that's of purity. And that's what we want to see. We want to start looking at things with a new vision, with fresh eyes. And then I pulled ordinariness. Interesting. This is that sort of day in, day out, kind of a chop wood, carry water vibe, where in the most seemingly insignificant things, we find beauty, we find joy, we find a breath of life. This figure here is gathering flowers along their walk, and just being with nature is a really easy way to get into that flow. But this is really reminding you that those simple things, those tiny gifts that life has, and the simplicity that's all around us is it's a beautiful way to start on a fresh journey. And it's a really easy way to see things with fresh eyes, with those childlike perspectives that we have, is to just don't try to achieve anything, right? Go through your routine, be grateful for every step of your day. And then the last card, and I love this because we went from a more rigid, sort of judgmental, right and wrong kind of a feeling, and we worked through it. We were able to release some of those thoughts and get grounded in that more pure energy. And we end with playfulness. I love this because there's joy, there's lots of life to breathe in, and lots of light. If you see all the little sparkly lights around this figure, just reaching up and receiving the love and the beauty and the fun that there is out there. Now, this path is a suggested path to get us away from judgmental thoughts, and it's not a one and done, right? We don't just say, okay, I'm going to meditate, clear my thoughts, release the old stuff, start a fresh start, and see things in a new way. Well, that doesn't last forever, because those thoughts creep back, or you come upon another situation that brings you down and has you feeling negative and a little judgmental. So it's a constant flow toward that release of those thoughts. And it's not to say, once you get rid of them, they'll be gone forever. It just really isn't how it works. But this is a great template for how to, for what to focus on, first of all, which focusing on things that aren't there or aren't happening or are negative, or focusing on your resentment. They have achieved this and I haven't, and now, they suck or whatever. Those, we know that's not cleansing. That's not fortifying our heart. That's depleting it, right? So use your mind in a new way, right? By cleansing, purifying, releasing the old stuff, and grounding in that new fresh energy. Use your mind for positive use. And then obviously your heart will follow, and it creates a more sense of appreciation in your days. Okay, I'm going to pull an extra card or two here. I'm going to, this is going to be from Moonology. So these are all moon-based cards, and I'm going to pull from here now. Whoops, there it goes. Well, easy. Well, It's like exactly, it's the synopsis of our reading because the two cards that just popped out are like, okay, I've heard that before. So the first thing is the waning moon in general, and it says, what do you need to release? What do you need to release? We pulled release already in this deck, in this spread. So focusing on the things you might want to release. And we don't want to, like, I release all thoughts of judgment and all negative, we can't do it all at once. So let's think of one. I release the thoughts that hold me back when I look at how others are achieving what I don't have. I release those thoughts. I see what others have achieved, and then I see that it's possible for me too, instead of I'm not there. It's possible. It's been done. I can do it too. That's a simple way to get the juices flowing toward your achievement. And then the other card I pulled, this is the new moon in Aquarius, and I pulled bring love into the situation, right? And this is what we did. We have the childhood card, we have the, the beauty of going with the flow, moving with our heart, always with love and gratitude. Like we said, those heartfelt, heart-led energies is usually what can dislodge our stuck places and our negative perceptions. And so always leading with love. And of course, the childhood innocence, that's, we talked about that, how there's just purity there. And that's coming from a sense of love. So I'm happy to have done this reading. I think I will apply it to my own life and watch those negative thoughts as they creep up, especially if they're toward yourself, especially if they're self-judgment or self-resentment. You're just harming your being. And there really is there's no use for those thoughts, and releasing yourself and freeing yourself from them helps to move toward a more joyful path. All right, that's it for now, you guys. I love you.